Welcome to the Vault Excel. Hope you all are well. Hope everyone is staying cool. Very, very hot temperatures around the United States. Stay hydrated, everyone. A lot of hot butter mess going on. This is a two-part live. The link is in the chat if you'd like to come up here on the panel and join the queen. But before we get into all of that, my movie of the week is The Deceitful Wife, now free on YouTube. So feel free to go over to my community page to check out the trailer if you're interested, and check out the movie. Drop your comments, let me know if you like it or not. I will check it out a little bit later. But that's my movie of the week, The Deceitful Wife, two-part live. Sean Puffy Combs, juror number 25, is causing problems, won't follow instructions. What is the issue with this person? 2 hours deliberating, and they had a problem. Had to send a note to the juror. Had to send a note about the juror to the judge. Second part of this live, Brian C. Kohberger has taken a plea deal. Unbelievable. Wrangling for 2.5 years to only decide he didn't want to get shot by the firing squad. You're now listening to the Vault Excel, everybody. Let's get down to business. Mercy, mercy, mercy me. Wow, 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 wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable information. Hold on one second. I'm going to queue up here in just a second. We're going to start with Sean Puffy Combs, everybody. You can hit the link. You do not have to show yourself, but please be respectful to the hostess and the viewing audience. Wow, wow, wow. Crazy, crazy day.
I want to show you the scene outside the courthouse where the trial of Sean Diddy Combs is taking place. You can see all of the cameras, all of the journalists from all over. Here's what's going on inside the courthouse right now. The jury got the case around 11:30 this morning, and about an hour later sent a note. Now, in summary, it said, "We have a juror, number 25. We're concerned he cannot follow your honor's instructions. Can you speak to him or interview him?" The parties and the judge discussed how to respond, so they've reminded the jurors of their obligation to follow the law, to resume their deliberations, and if further issues arise, have the foreperson send a note, but make sure it doesn't list anyone's position. I want to show you the scene outside the courthouse where the trial of Sean Diddy Combs is
position. Who is juror number 25? It is a male. White male, black male, what's the problem? Hispanic male, Asian? Number 25, what's your problem? We've come too far for this nonsense. You were given instructions, and as I have did a little research, the instructions are per the law, not what the judge feels, says. He's only repeating the law to the 12 members of the jury. Now, if he's to deviate from that said information, there could also be a problem down the road with an appeal in case Mr. Combs is found guilty. So, I'm assuming the judge read everything appropriately to these said people. Allegedly, it was going to take a few hours to read said information. They got to the jury room after 11:30. After 2 hours of deliberating, there was an issue with number 25. Number 25, what is the problem? So is this person swaying towards a guilty verdict towards Sean Combs or not guilty? What's the problem? It's something. I would assume you all are ready to go home, okay? You have missed 7 weeks of money, going into 8 weeks of money from your jobs. And New York is a very expensive state to live in, for those who are not familiar, okay? So whether you are in the general area or upstate New York, which my understanding, the replacement juror came from upstate New York, Westchester, New York. Is this the juror, the replacement juror? I'm curious. Who is this person? And what is the issue? What is the damn problem? Once again, 2 counts of the racketeering is all they need to give Mr. Combs the bang. Okay? It's all they need for the racketeering charge. Prove that he has committed 1 or 2 of the acts. Okay? He will go down. We're talking about 3 charges explained to the juror by the federal government. Prostitution by transportation, human trafficking, and racketeering. Get on with this nonsense. God must have heard me, because he knows Queen as of late has not been feeling the best, and I've been wanting an end to all of this nonsense. As this trial went on, I got very bored with it because of the redundancy. As I said, no disrespect to the people testifying. It just was redundant with the information. So here we are. Boom, boom, boom. They're in the jury room. We already got a problem. Week for week, there's been a problem. Getting rid of a juror. Placing a juror. One juror then said something to somebody about being on the jury. Just nonstop stuff. It's ridiculous. You know what you're supposed to do when you become a jury member. Follow the rules. Damn. Because you're only going to make it worse down the line if something gets out that you did, you said, something you withheld. Just follow the instructions. You're at the end of the rope now. Follow through. Put an end to this nonsense. Put an end to this nonsense. Who is the person holding out or not complying? What is it? That's all I want to know. Are you swaying? You want this man convicted? You don't. Do we have 11 people who don't want to convict? What is the problem? Because I do believe the federal government has proven the prostitution charge. Okay? They have proven that. There's no way to even talk around that and say they ain't proved it. They have. They brought receipts. They brought testimony. Okay? People have thrown themselves under the bus to say, yes, I was an escort. Yes, I was doing this. Yes, I was paid. That's proven. Nothing to talk about. Racketeering, bribery, blackmail, drugs. That's been proven. This is why you have to know the law. Because everybody's been wrangling for weeks. I don't understand the racketeering. Well, they've told you what it is. Bribery, blackmail. They've proven that. Bribe Cassie, bribe the mother, bribe the friend, blackmail the mother, blackmail Cassie. That's been proven. Only thing left is human trafficking. These people were either willing or they were coerced. And basically, the federal government is saying you could be coerced without being forced. Because there's a difference, right? Force, I put my hands on you, dragged you, carried you, told you better do it, put a gun in your head, knife, weapon. Then coercion, blackmail, bribery, that falls under the racketeering. You're entitled to your opinion. But I want to know what the hell is going on with this jury member. Because if you already got a problem 2 hours into deliberating, which is Monday, today is still Monday, what the hell is going to happen tomorrow at 9 a.m. when court resumes? Because they went in early. So that means the judge made sure to get everybody together, read the instructions early. He wants to get this over with. He got that day started on because, court had been going later the past couple days. Well, he got in there, boom, 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 read the instructions, 11:30, they already got a problem. This is crazy to me. Come on now. Let's get this on with. Let's get this moving on. Because if they're already wrangling hour or two of deliberating, you've got some problems. You got some mad problems. And then in your mind, you don't even know what the problem is, but you know it's a damn problem. So what is the problem? The person wants to convict. The person does not. The person won't listen to the instructions, won't survey the evidence, won't listen to anything, won't ask any questions. What is the issue? Hello, Nikita. How you doing? So what is the issue? Subject number 2, Mr. Brian Kohberger. Lord have mercy. This has got to be the hottest topic running. This fool has been wrangling with his attorneys for 2.5 years. Andy Taylor has been holding up the court system with all these shenanigans, taking another death penalty case. And now, all of a sudden, it's not even July 1st. It'll be July 1st in a couple of hours. Oh, he wants to take a plea deal. You know why he wants to take a plea deal? Because he cannot refute the evidence that some of you refuse to believe he is the guilty party. So all of you who thought, oh, there's somebody else and this one did it, blah, blah, blah. Well, why did he plead guilty all of a sudden? Take a plea deal. Shut your mouth. Mr. Kohberger has confirmed to all you naysayers, I did it, I sure did, and I don't want to get shot up. I want to live to tell a lie, a version, whatever. And let me tell you what he's getting ready to do. He's going to tell you later, I just did that because I didn't want to get shot. Watch. It is about to be fireworks with this storyline. We don't get to hear nothing about what was found in the house, seen at the house, any witnesses. We're not going to hear from the girls, Bethany, Dylan, which everyone was looking forward to hearing that because of that wonky 911 call that didn't make any damn sense. All these extra people at the house like they were having a damn party. They talked to Netflix or whoever done a documentary, and now you're sitting here like, oh, what the hell is going on? Oh, now he wants to take a plea. So we don't get to hear from the DoorDash person. Because, see, that makes him look bad, too, for the DoorDash person to say, oh, yeah, I was sitting right beside his car. And she's confessing this to the police during an alleged DUI stop. And then, obviously, this person has been, I believe, accused of a former DUI. So we just got a lot of craziness moving into this story. And that's normal because we're talking about human beings. So there's always going to be something off the wall. But my goodness. I think he thought about it. And maybe Annie Taylor told him. The evidence is overwhelming. And she was the type, she wanted to go through all the evidence with her crazy self, which the judge told her, you've had ample enough time, honey, to go through the evidence. You've had ample enough time to hire people to go through the evidence. What is your problem? You know, she's like a hoarder. She's got to touch every piece of paper. She's got to touch every piece of paper, every ball of yarn. She's too busy wrapped up with the next person. She's made a lot of money representing Mr. Kohberger. For those of you who did not know this, she got paid a lot of money. And when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. And I'm not talking about $20, $30 an hour, if you understand where I'm coming from. She's made up under $1 million thus far representing Mr. Kohberger. Because when you are assigned a death penalty case, public defender, or I guess private attorney perhaps, you are paid a lot of money by the state, if you did not know that. And I did not know that. So I learned something new with this Kohberger case. Let's hear about this foolishness coming from Idaho and the fact that they moved the trial somewhere else because these people were so adamant that they couldn't find fair members to weigh in. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Idaho is a very small state. I would assume most people in the state of Idaho have heard about the 4 kids brutally unalive. News Nation is the source, everybody. Woo!
Breaking news coming in from the state of Idaho once again, but on a different story, as News Nation has just learned that the accused killer, Brian Kohberger, accepted a plea deal. Yeah, a plea deal was offered. He has accepted the deal. Sources are confirming the prosecutors proposed dropping the death penalty. That was the deal in exchange for Kohberger pleading guilty to committing 4 murders and pleading guilty to burglary as well. So guilty plea in exchange for no death penalty. Now the background on this story, you'll remember he's accused of killing those 4 University of Idaho students at their home. It was back in November of 2022. Sources say Kohberger must also agree to spend the rest of his life in prison without any possibility of parole. So jail for life, no parole. But again, no death penalty. Must waive his right to appeal as part of this as well. Plea deal has been accepted. A court hearing for a change of plea will take place on Wednesday, so in 2 days. So this is just breaking. They'll be covering it in more detail tonight on Elizabeth Vargas Reports and also on Banfield. One of many big stories we're covering. Now, thank you for watching. Subscribe below and down.
Oh, Lord have mercy. What say you all, everybody? What do you have to say about this new information? Let's see what Ms. Vargas has to say.
Ashley Banfield, host of Banfield right here on News Nation. Ashley, you've covered this story also from the very
Let me go back
question.
to this screen here. Number 1, it says prosecution proposed dropping the death penalty. Why would you do that? Why would you drop the death penalty after all the hard work and what you have seen with Mr. Kohberger, the information, Help me understand why you'd want to drop the death penalty. I'm confused. On Wednesday, the court hearing for a change of plea that will happen 2 days, where he enters a plea of guilty. He will spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. Okay? He must agree to the said information, meaning no appeals. Let me make that clear. There will be no appeals after he signs his name on the dotted line on Wednesday. He could never appeal these charges. I think he thought about it. I am not about to let these people shoot me up. God forbid the parents, family decide to go. He's found guilty. They decide to go to the sentencing when it happens. It takes a while to get put to death. 10 or more years at least. After people have appealed. All appeals have been exhausted. And then your family, friends, associates, news, sit there and watch. You get a needle to the arm, which is the latest way of leaving here. But in this state, the firing squad. And I don't think it would feel good being shot several times by gunfire. And people watching it would be just as horrific, you know what I'm saying, viewing it. Because most people are probably accustomed to the needle to the arm. Now, for those who do not know, that drug that's used, she's not a pretty drug. Okay? You are basically suffocating to death. And I can understand that to some degree because I remember the last time I had surgery, I remember feeling that weird feeling in my throat right before I went out. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a slow death. Just like, you get your anesthesia when you go to surgery. You're starting to feel a little woozy. You're starting to talk, mumble. But you do feel a little tingly, I think, sensation through the nose, throat, and then you go out. Well, the needle to the arm, she's much worse. Okay? You are literally going to asphyxiate. And I think many of you have had an instance of losing your breath, maybe going underwater, under the shower, water going through your nose. That's not a great feeling. My understanding is all the same. It don't feel good. And you do not die immediately when they put that needle to the arm. So I don't know that either way would be fun. Okay? Needle to the arm, suffocating, getting shot up, gas chamber. I wouldn't want either. But I put myself there, so the state says this is what you deserve. Somebody will be the administrator. And no one ever knows who that person is. Who pulls the plug, gas, needle to the arm, so on and so forth. So I believe Brian Kohberger said to himself, he said, self, I don't want to get shot up. I want to live. I want to live and gloat and let my story be told. And that's what he's going to do. Many people are going to reach out to Mr. Kohberger. He's going to continue getting fan mail, hate mail. He is going to be a number one priority on many people's minds the next several years and so on and so forth. He will become infamous just like Ted Bundy, Gacy, Dahmer. People will continue to speculate who he idolized, who he liked, who he was trying to mimic. In the end, it doesn't really matter. Because, I'm the type, I don't do all that arguing about he liked Kohberger. I mean, he liked Bundy. He was emulating BTK. Who cares? I don't like getting into all that stupid logistics because, one, you're not in the mind of the killer. And many people are always trying to climb in their head. As one detective says, that's not a place you want to belong. That's not a place you want to be. Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. That's the reason why I don't like talking about death and mayhem every day, because I feel like you can procure an omen when you talk about death all day, every day. That's your consumption. It's wicked and it's not fruitful. It's not fruitful. That's your only conversation, death and mayhem. People will start to wonder if you have a problem. I'm just keeping it real. But anywho, there are going to be many people who want to talk to him, interview him. He knows this, and he's had time to think about that. And he has probably been in his ear and told him, this ain't a win-win. And what you have to prepare yourself for, if you are found guilty, they are going to kill you at some point. And do you want to die that way? She's had to have this talk with him. Only a fool would not have sat down with her client to give him, a real talking to. This is not like talking to your kids saying, hey, don't use drugs. They're not good for you. Don't drink and drive. You could hurt yourself, kill somebody, go to prison. This ain't that type of talk. Bruh, you're going to die in there. You're going to get one fancy meal of your choice. You're going to consume that good food, and you are going to die thereafter. Checkmate. The only part of the story that's probably disappointing to many is that you don't get to hear the evidence gathered, such as the pinging, who saw the car, pictures of the car, any eyewitnesses that saw Mr. Kohberger, the testimonies from the kids at the house, how they discovered the bodies, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to hear any of that. We don't have the house. It's long been torn down. You don't get to hear anything. And I'm sure many people wanted to hear the details, even though most of it will be gory, starting at the beginning, which is, the discovery of the bodies. That will be the part naturally the family wouldn't want to deal with. The autopsy reports, those were going to be gruesome. But it's still nice. I won't say nice. It's appropriate word. It would just be interesting to hear the evidence, because that's what a trial is about. Is hearing what the state or the federal government has against the said person. You want to hear. You could decide for yourself if you believe the information. Then, lo and behold, as you see with the P. Diddy trial, somebody decides to come a day late, dollar short with, I forgot to tell you this. They leave something out, and boom, boom, boom. Later, you find out extra stuff, which we found it out with P. Diddy, text message between Cassie and him, Jane Doe texting some stuff to one of the escorts. We got that, last week, out of the blue, which, the federal government, better. You should have been revealed that information. All the stuff that was told in court with P. Diddy, come on. It was salacious, so why leave stuff out? You don't do that. You don't ever leave anything out. You don't ever leave out a witness testimony. And we are hearing this now. When you go in and watch these documentaries, these true crime storylines, that is the one thing you hear. Somebody saying, oh, I called 5 times, 2 times. Nobody returned my call. I saw the perpetrator. I saw the witness. I saw this. And somewhere somebody decides this person's testimony is not important. Why not? Evidence gets not mentioned. Why? I don't know. And a lot of times with the state and the government, they don't want to put stuff out that makes it worse. But as I said with the P. Diddy case, you couldn't tell us nothing else. A sane person wouldn't say, okay, it's just as worse as what you told me yesterday. They've already told us the worst. What did I tell you? The only thing missing from the P. Diddy trial is bestiality and homicide. You couldn't tell me anything else that would just shock me. You know what you didn't tell me? He wears a leotard and dances around his house at night, holding a glass of wine. He dresses up in women's clothes, which I said that a month or so ago. That's what I think some of those clothes were that were found in the raid in Miami. 2-part live. I'm bouncing back and forth, so don't get confused. But the point is, a lot of times things are left out in trials, and it comes out later, and it's just not good to throw stuff, a wrench in the plan at the last minute. Don't do that. Put everything on the table. let the public hear it, let the jury members decide for themselves the evidence. Two-part live, everybody. Juror number 25, Sean Puffy Combs' trial, is causing a ruckus earlier today in court. At about 11:30, a note goes to the judge that they cannot get this person to follow instructions, whatever those instructions are. What is the problem? Brian Kohberger, Idaho, has decided to take a plea deal. He will not appeal any of this information ever again. It is a wrap. To avoid the death penalty, he has decided to plead guilty to 4 counts of homicide plus burglary against the 4 children he unalived, King Road. That is the latest information. Hello, Miss Ryder. How are you? I can't speak for what anybody wanted. I'm just going to say I'm assuming his attorney told him, it's best you go ahead and take the plea. It's too much. And see, Annie is a slick little heifer. I don't think Annie was prepared for the trial. That's obvious because of what we've heard with the delay from last week. She wanted a delay. I did not bring you all that update in a short because there are just times I just don't even want to make content. But I find it interesting that a week ago, she wanted a delay. And the judge said, no, we're going forward in August, ma'am. That's it. We're going forward, like it or not. Now, fast forward, days later, this man is taking a plea on a Monday, day before the 1st of July. Very interesting. Very interesting information. What say you to chat pertaining to the information in this live stream pertaining to juror number 25 and Brian Kohberger? Wow. Well, you're not supposed to know about any of the evidence because we haven't gone to trial. That's the part of a trial. And all the issues they have had with leaks, a judge also wanting to reprimand whoever was leaking the information. I have not watched the Dateline segment, so I can't say what was said in it and what was leaked. But Mr. Gonzalez has talked a lot during this information. Then we've got people from the House. They're going to Netflix and talking. Hell no, it don't look good. It didn't look good at all. And Andy Taylor saw that. These people are walkie-talkies and they are just talking. And you have to admit it is a bit rare to be giving interviews and doing documentaries before there's a trial. Usually you have that afterwards. Book deals, interviews with the news, podcasters, so on and so forth. You all are already going to Netflix. That just don't look good. Or whoever the documentary company is. Don't look good. Because when I first saw it 2 weeks ago, I was late on that information. And I was like, huh? You're talking to a document. You're doing a documentary? And it caught me weird that Ethan's family talked. All this time, these people have been quiet. And now all of a sudden, you're in a documentary. You have to admit that's strange. Come on now. You refuse to talk to the public about your child. You didn't want to talk about the murders. You didn't want to talk about nothing that ever came out about the case, Mr. Kohberger, nothing. And then, you look up, here's a documentary with all the little friends that were there at the house, all these little kids that just popped up, which I think is so weird. Just as one commenter said under my short, I think it was a whole lot of people there that morning. Yeah, because there's an extra party that was there. I didn't even know another girl was there. When you go back and listen to the 911 call, I'm counting Dylan, Bethany, and another female. Well, now I know it's another female. So there were 4 females and a guy, allegedly, at the house that morning. And then we now learn that they were obviously on the phone making the 911 call in the house. Remember, I mentioned that a while back. Because I asked all the questions that a lot of people just don't want to ask. I said, Where did they make the phone call? In the driveway? In the bottom stair landing? Well, if you're calling somebody, that should tell you right there they were in the house. And a lot of us probably missed that on the 911 call. Because why would I be calling their name outside if they're dead inside? Stay woke. So a lot of times things are sitting right in front of us. We don't even pay attention. They was telling us a story then. Because the operator's like, I need you to, check for life, signs of life. Then we learned Dylan had already ran by the dead girl. Xana. I just thought she was drunk. What? Hell, when I heard that months ago, I was floored. Like, okay, what the hell is going on here? You ran by her lying in the floor and you didn't even go check and just call her name? Hey, you okay? You okay? Nothing. So this is after you see a man with a mask. You calling everybody's number. Nobody's answering. And then you finally say, okay, I'm going to make a run for it. And you run past a dead person lying in the floor and you don't even check. So then I have to ask, which I did Xana normally pass out in the floor? Did people wake up and see Xana lying in the floor after a night of getting drunk? You're never going to know, are you? Because ain't nobody alive to tell us. So see, there's a lot you're not going to know because the dead don't talk. I don't care what nobody say. That 911 call is off. I'm not here to implicate any of those girls. I'm just saying it's off. The behavior is off. There's no precedence. It just don't seem like it's serious. And you hear the girl saying that in the documentary. That's not Queen's comment. And that says a lot to me. That came out of that girl's mouth. When Dylan called me, I didn't feel like it was serious enough to go over there. That's her. Those are her words, not mine. And guess what? Those words, I said it a few weeks ago. I said, them words will come back and haunt everybody involved. Imagine saying that to 12 members of a jury in an open court. Oh, when she called, it didn't seem serious enough to come over. So then somebody, the defense would ask you, well, then why the hell did you go over there then? I don't know. She my friend. We were just trying to help her out. Help her do what? I don't know. See, the one thing we as people don't think about, we do not think about a worst case scenario. We do it all the time. We talk junk. We talk SHIT. We get crunk. We get loud. We get mad. We write crazy things in text messages. We threaten people. Maybe not really going to cut their head off and do something to them, but you understand what I'm saying. We get pissy. And you don't think that one day those words will come back and haunt you. You say something to another person about another person, you don't think it's going to get back. You don't think it's going to play out in a courtroom, audio. That's why they always tell you be careful what you say. So those words to me are very relevant. I didn't think it was that serious when she called. Well, that seems to be the momentum of this 911 call and the actions of these two girls. Nothing was serious, obviously, for you to lie up in a house with dead people, and we now find out you walked or ran past one of them lying in the floor. As Mr. Inton says on News Nation, we always thought the door was shut, or Banfield said, we always thought the door was shut. No, we now know the door was open. That's deep. Door was open. Ran by in the dark. You didn't even think. Go over there. Girl, you all right? Nothing. And then sit up with your friend for God knows how long until you all fall asleep. Get up in the AM. Both of you are on your phones doing this and that, going on different apps. That shows me there was no urgency. That's the word I'm looking for. There was no urgency to inquire about the housemates. There was no urgency to call 911 to say, hey, I saw this guy I don't know who he is. He's not a friend of mine. I've never seen him before. He's dressed up in this mask, which is suspicious looking to me. I'm trying to call my roommates. They're not answering. Could you please send an officer over to check the house, please? That's all that Heifer had to do. That's my opinion. And one thing Mr. Gonzalez doesn't understand, and some other people out here don't understand, is that everybody don't think alike. All of us don't navigate the same. I navigate in my mind differently than how you navigate. Okay? The very reason why I'm still alive at 54 is because I don't think like how other people think. Now, it's not to say I haven't been put in dangerous situations or I put myself in a dangerous situation. The point being is that I still knew what I'm doing, who I'm talking to. If it don't look right, I had to stand account on all of that. All of that. And I can say from what I heard in the 911 call, conversations, a little bit of these conversations from the documentary, I'm going to say it and I'm going to keep saying it. These are people I would not want to be in my company. I say it all the time, and I'll say it about other people. I don't have a problem with it. When you cannot think for yourself, Queen don't want to be in your company. And I see it all the time in true crime. I see it all the time in people on the street. I see it all the time with neighbors. All I have to do is listen at how you talk. Kind of like the ABC show, What Would You Do? And I listen at people talk and how they act and the commentary they give in a certain situation. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, you're the last person I would want to be with in a dire situation. And that's not being mean. That's me telling my truth. You don't have to like it. I look at it even in the comments, under these videos, under the articles. I listen to how people talk in their responses to the information. And a lot of people, I keep saying this, you live in a bubble. What happened on King Road was real. That was not make-believe. Whether the children could be saved or not, you still have to have some type of discerning spirit. And if you don't have it, I'm telling you, you need to pray to God to give it to you. Because you'll be back in that situation again. You don't get it together. That's why everything's a learning curve. And a lot of us, we refuse to get it. You see the signs, something ain't right, something don't look right, something is supposed to click in your head. You know what? Don't need to get in that car. I don't need to pull over here on this side of the road. I don't need to pull my car over here in this place. I probably shouldn't be out here at dark. There's nobody around. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't like the way this guy is acting. I don't like the way this guy is talking. I don't like the way this female is acting and talking. You have got to get some senses about yourself, or you will be just like one of those kids. Because we live in a world where people are unhinged. They don't have any empathy. They don't mind hurting you. And it's creepy to know these two females stayed in that house while these children bled out, and then the perpetrator returned to the house, and you are still in this motherfucker. And he made his way in without breaking in. Let's make that clear. Kohberger didn't cut a screen. He didn't jimmy a door. He didn't break glass in a skylight. He walked in. Let's make that clear. You all gave this man an open invitation to your house. No cameras, no nothing. No security on your doors. Why not? And that's what some of you don't seem to understand. That is what a perpetrator is looking for. It's called a window of opportunity. Whether it would be drug fueled, a sadist, it don't matter. Let me see if I can get in. And he or she don't know they can get in until they try. He didn't have to try. You can learn a lot by watching people. Such as being a homeowner. Look out your window and just sit in your window and watch your neighbors. Sick and macabre as it may sound. Sit and watch your neighbors and take a itemized summary of what you learned about your neighbor from just looking out of your window. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can learn a lot. When they leave for work, when they return, how they're dressed, are they on their phone? Do they lock the car door? Do they run in and out the house from returning from work? Or going to work, back and forth, back and forth? Do they leave the car running? Blinds open, blinds closed. Curtains open, curtains closed. Do we shut the curtains when we get home? Do we shut the curtains at some point before going to bed? What time do they empty the trash? Do they take the trash out in the morning? Do they check the mail when they return home from work? Do they check it after maybe eating dinner, sitting around, go to the mailbox in the dark? Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, flip the script. It's a predator. He is also doing the same damn thing. No matter how he came upon you, he will do the same damn thing. Watch you, learn your schedule, and pounce. That is exactly what happened with these children. He picked a target or targets. He found out where they lived. He went to the house numerous times. I'm going to say at least 16 times because they got the count at 14. But you got to count, he returned that morning. He was there a lot of times. And once you get to 10, you're past saying a lot. You're stalking at this point. So all I have to do is sit and watch who's coming and going, which entry points the people are entering the house, front or to the side. Then I'm going to watch all the advantage points of your house, from the front to the side to the back, road up the back, side road with apartment building. I'm learning all this. I'm Googling all of this. I'm learning how to get into your house. I'm also going to sit and watch to see if you even lock doors, if you put a key in the door when you pull up. Stay well. That's how I know how I'm going to get in your house. Because you walked in your door and you didn't even put a key in there. Now, the front door allegedly had the key punch pad. You don't even know if it worked or not. Ding, ding, ding. We heard it. There was an issue with one of the girls' doors. Don't know what that was about. Father went over to check the doors, fix the doors. Why is the father fixing the door? They have a landlord. Call your landlord. You pay rent, you call your landlord. Not to say that the father didn't know what he was doing, but I'd rather call the landlord. Hey, there's something wrong with my door. Can you please send a maintenance man over to repair my door? The fact they had all this traffic of people coming and going, coming and going. That's the very reason why I never jumped on who unalived these kids, because it was too many people involved to point the finger at this one, this one, this one. I don't do that. And I made a vow that I would never accuse anybody in the Idaho Forest Lanes for that very reason. There were too many people that passed through that house to say, oh, he did it, she did it. No, no, no. The fact that these kids stayed on social media, come on now. The very reason why you're advised to keep your mouth closed sometimes on social media. Telling too much, because we are more into a sharing mode. Oh, I went to the hospital. Oh, I got hurt. Oh, I'm over here. Oh, I'm at this place. There's always somebody watching. It didn't take long to find out where these children were. You got university shit on your clothes. You got your full government name on your IG posts, Facebook posts. You're putting all that information on your Facebook account, which you should not be doing. And you're in a small town of under probably 40,000 people. How long do you think it would take for me to find where you live? It would not take me long at all. They were a rock's throw from the university. Stay woke. A 5-year-old could have found King Road. And we as people don't think. We are doers. We don't think. You got to go live, got to go live, got to go live, got to tell everybody everything. I'm going to wear this dress, these shoes, these pantyhose, this purse. I'm going to take a bath at 6:15. You got to stop doing that. I'm on my way to Starbucks. I'm going to sit here for 30 minutes. Then I'm going to wait on Jane. Then me and Jane, we're going to go over to Cheddar's. Blah, 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 blah. Got to stop doing that. And you don't think. Because you know what you think? You think everybody likes you. Yeah, we're going to go in the belly of the beast now. You think everybody likes you. You think everybody is your friend. There are many people who watch your social media pages. They don't like you. They are not your friend. They want to harm you. Maybe not unalive you, but they don't wish you well. How many times have we all shared content from Facebook, IG, to show somebody some foolishness? Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, those people found out, I'm sure they wouldn't be pleased. Why are you sharing that about me? What did I say or do that was so bad? You're making a damn fool out yourself. That's why I shared it. So now imagine a predator is watching your social media pages and you're going on and on about being at the gym. You're showing people you're on a treadmill. Well, I now know where you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? I now know where you are. And I can just go sit in the parking lot and wait for you to bring your tail out of there, and the rest is history. Because you like to go live. You like to talk about yourself excessively. You like to flaunt what you have, what you bought. People do it all the time. Here's my house, my new car. May forget to not show your tag. You have to think. Because you can find out anything about a person once you have their government name and you know where they work, you know where they live. The rest is easy. People can go in people's boxes, inboxes, just start chatting you up. Act like they're a friend. Oh, I see you comment a lot on Susie's page. How long have y'all been knowing each other? And you stupid enough to start talking to a complete stranger about your so-called friend. And you don't know you're talking to the enemy. I think like that. Now, some people may say, oh, that's a terrible way to live your life, always on the edge. Well, I'd rather be alive than dead. How about that? I'd rather be alive than dead. Because you got to think about all the people that's in the cemetery. They were possibly thinking like how you think. Everybody likes me. I haven't done anything for anybody to want to harm me. It's not realistic. And I'm not telling you to walk around, sleeping with a gun in your bed. But what I'm trying to make you understand is that it's the little things. It's how people get hurt. Because you can build an enemy without knowing you have an enemy. You can build an enemy just cutting somebody off on the interstate, taking a parking space in the grocery store parking lot. You've heard numerous stories of road rage, people arguing with people and fighting each other in public restaurants, stores, crazy Karens wanting to be seen, acting a fool, using the N-word, wilding out. Now we got people fighting in the grocery store, the Wendy's. People are unhinged. That's the point I'm trying to make. That you don't know at a moment's notice that you could end up a true crime story. That's the point I'm trying to make. That you need to be on guard. You need to be careful what you say to people. You need to be careful what you ask people. I always say, I don't mean to be rude or I apologize. I'm just asking a question. Don't mean no harm. You have to say it like that now just because a lot of people get easily offended. I'm the type of person, I am leery of people asking questions because I'm always wanting to know why you want to know. Especially if it's out of the blue and unwarranted. Kind of like if you were in the grocery store and you were running things through the line and the cashier asked you, where do you live? What is it of her business? Do you see where I'm going? Because that's not a normal question to ask. I can see only asking me that if I was talking about something pertaining to where I live. Then she says, oh, well, where do you live? That'd be different. But just out the blue, she's scanning my items and then says, where do you live? We live around a lot of nosy Parkers. We have a lot of busybodies. And we have people who don't wish you well. As I said, may not want to unalive you, but they want to stir up shit, stir up trouble. You just have to be careful. And these children were on display because they like taking photographs. They like showing themselves. And I'm assuming that is how Mr. Kohberger found these young people, was through social media. That's how he reached out to one of them. So I'm assuming that's how he found them. If he didn't find them that way, it really doesn't matter. They're dead. They are dead. They're not coming back. And yes, I wanted to hear the evidence that the state had. I was curious. I wanted to hear all the information. I wanted to see who the defense was going to call as far as character witnesses, what these people had to say about him, family members, associates, schoolmates. I wanted to hear that. I won't get that chance now. The only way I'm going to hear anything about anybody in this storyline is if they decide to give formal interviews with news outlets and networks that decide to do a documentary pertaining to those children. And if the state decides they want to go on the news and tell us what they gathered against Mr. Kohberger. But other than that, we're not going to know anything. Who will be the first person that Mr. Kohberger will speak to? Because you know it's coming. He will give a formal interview to somebody. Will he fudge some shit, tell the truth? I don't know. But the fact you're pleading guilty, one's going to think, oh, he's going to tell us everything. Maybe not. He will possibly play mind games like how Gacy played with the news. Gacy acted like he didn't know the guys, and the next minute, he's letting you know how he picked them up. Well, which is it? You knew him, you didn't know him, you picked them up, what? See, this is what happens when you're not a good liar. And if you watch some of the older interviews with John Wayne Gacy, he tripped up and told on himself. I didn't do anything. I didn't kill those guys. I didn't kill those kids. I didn't do nothing. The next minute he tell you, oh yeah, I was strolling downtown Chicago looking for me somebody. Well, I thought you didn't know nobody. Thought you weren't downtown. Thought you didn't kill nobody. So that's probably what Kohberger is going to do. He's going to play mind games with people who want to talk to him. He probably will ask for a payment. Money to put on his commissary. He may actually give all the information to the highest payee. I'll tell you how I found the target. I'll tell you who the target was. I'll tell you what I liked, didn't like. I'll tell you about my childhood. I'll tell you about being bullied. I'll tell you about my weight. I'll tell you about my drug use. I'll tell you about how I felt about my parents. I'll tell you how I felt about myself. To the highest paid. Because he's got to get something out of the deal. Because he's never coming out of prison except for by escaping, suicide, murder, or natural death. How do you all feel about him taking the plea? I'm sure many people are very curious because this is hot butter news right now. The link is in the chat. If you'd like to join the queen up here on the panel to give your opinion about Mr. Kohberger taking a plea deal. He will sign the formal papers on Wednesday. And also juror number 25 in the Sean Puffy Combs trial is giving the other jury members hell. He will not follow instructions. And I'd like to know who he is. I also like to know the age of the juror. I'd like to know the race of the juror. And I'd like to know what the hell is wrong with him. Because I'm assuming these people want to get home before the 4th. They want to relax. They want to enjoy their friends. They want to get off of this trial. Because I'm assuming a lot of these people are going to be talking to news outlets, probably doing book deals, make them a couple of $1 million as well, because that is the world we live in. Everybody's trying to get the almighty dollar. And they're going to take advantage of it. Why not? But you always have to remember, at what cost for the almighty dollar? Because you should know there'll be a cost for speaking about the trial, speaking about the other jury members, speaking about Sean Combs in the court, speaking about the information that was relayed to you, giving your public opinion about the trial. You know that's going to come with scrutiny. It's just the way it is. Who is juror number 25? What is his problem? What is his problem? Were they close to a verdict earlier today? I meant to ask that. I'll put that on a poll. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that now. Feel free to mosey on over to my community page. And I was supposed to be playing this Kohberger nonsense. I just got a notification about the juror. Oh, Lord. Of course. I'm also going to bring you some Tennessee news, too. There's a new law passed here in Tennessee pertaining to bullies. You will get your driving privileges revoked, suspended rather, for 1 year. How do y'all feel about that? Some are saying that's not enough. They need therapy, blah, blah, blah. The point is they're showing you you're not going to be walking around, running around, driving to get into more mischief. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. And especially if a person was found murdered, killed themselves, I don't care if you ever can drive again. How about that? I'm just keeping it real. All right, everybody, I'm going to put up a poll pertaining to this one of these subjects. Okay. I forgot what I was going to type. All right, hold on, everybody. Take this poll. Let's see. You have 3 options. Okay. Were the Puffy jury about to reach a verdict Monday before notifying judge of problem juror number 25? Take the poll, everybody. Let's see what Ms. Vargas has to say about this Kohberger nonsense.
Are you as shocked as everybody else watching this?
Yes, I am not only in shock, I think I share with Brian a bit of sadness as well, because Elizabeth, you've done this job long enough to know that there's always 2 sides of a courtroom, and one side will be unhappy. It doesn't mean that justice doesn't prevail. This is a different kind of justice. It doesn't feel like justice for a lot of people. Sure as hell doesn't feel like justice for Steve Gonzalez and his family, Kaylee's family. The other families, they weren't all in unison on the death penalty being mandatory in order to feel whole again. They'll never feel whole. Many of them didn't care at this point because they weren't getting their kids back. So it's really hard on the Gonzalez family because they did not want this, and families matter. Prosecutors take into account what victims' families want and don't want. Chris Watts' family's victims' family members said, okay, take death off the table. Let him plead guilty. Let him go
behind bars for the rest of his life with no opportunity for parole and no opportunity for an appeal. And we're fine with it. But these families didn't all feel the same way. This is why I'm processing a lot at this point, just strictly covering the justice of it. I don't know that everybody's feeling justice. Why, Ashley, would prosecutors make this offer, and why did they reach out to the families to tell them? It feels like, I mean, this is all breaking as we speak. The families are just now issuing these statements, but it sure sounds like they weren't consulted. At least the Gonzalez family says it doesn't sound like they were.
So that's a tough one. Everybody operates differently. Every state operates differently, and then every jurisdiction within a state operates differently. I know that they've been at loggerheads at times with the Gonzalez family because they've been very vocal, and there's been this gag order. It's possible that we don't know. I reached out to Steve Gonzalez a little while ago. He's clearly processing a lot, but I haven't heard whether it is true. In fact, he did have a consultation prior to this. I would have a hard time believing there was no consultation prior to the media, finding out about it. However, they don't have to. It is certainly difficult if they don't. I would think it really goes against sort of the moral code of victims' rights to not be consulted, at least. Not that your consultation and your opinion is going to carry. That doesn't always happen. But certainly consultation is very important in this day and age in almost every jurisdiction I've ever covered. But I have to get with Steve to find out whether, in fact, we had a consultation, it was unsatisfactory, and the prosecution went ahead anyway.
Brian, the evidence against Brian Kohberger is overwhelming, and that might be an understatement. There was a massive amount of physical evidence, of digital evidence that all pointed to one person and one person only, and that was Brian Kohberger. It feels like to many, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, like a slam dunk case. Why wouldn't the prosecution want to bring this case?
Okay, well, first of all, I have sources who have told me that the family members were consulted, but it was a last-minute consultation. They had been led to believe all along that this thing was going to trial. They had booked Airbnbs for 3 months. They've got plans. They've taken time off work. They were told we're going all the way with the death penalty, and they were not told until the very last minute, not long before I found out that this was going down. So there was a consultation, but it wasn't a very good
consultation. That doesn't sound like a consultation. That sounds like we're letting you know this is happening.
Yes, I think they pretended. This is my take. They pretended to consult, but they had their mind made up. There were backroom negotiations happening, I believe, with the defense since at least Friday. That's what I believe. In terms of why the prosecution may want to do this. You know how it works when you get on death row. Even if they got a conviction, even if then at sentencing the jury said yes to death unanimously, there are people in Idaho who have been on death row for 30 and 40 years. These families would have to go through all of this for decades. Some of the victims' parents may not even be alive when Brian Kohberger is executed. They would have to be reminded during all of the appeals, et cetera, et cetera. Also, there are surviving victims. Let's not forget about the roommates who are going to have to testify and probably be, thrown under the bus by the defense and have to go through that. I'm sure that came into play with the prosecution. But I agree with Ashley. I am saddened for some of these family members because we have gotten to know them.
Let me interject there about the roommates. The defense wouldn't care about anybody testifying against him or what they saw or heard. Let's just keep it real. Brian Kohberger doesn't care about the roommates that survived or living. Well, why would he care about that? Annie Taylor, she doesn't care about that. She's trying to get her client off. I think she realized she was in over her head. She did not have enough time to go through all the information, and she probably let him know, and he probably got that feeling from her. Okay, I don't see this going in my favor. This woman's tired. She's exhausted. She wants to go through all the information. She don't have enough time. The judge is telling her, I'm not waiting on you to go through the evidence. You've had enough time. It's your job to hire the appropriate people to assess the information. That's on you. So that's why I'm going to put up a poll pertaining to what you're hearing now. Number one, did Kohberger want this plea? Was Annie tired of wrangling with this case? Okay. And are you shocked that he took the plea? Those are the next questions I'm going to put up after this commentary plays. Take the polls on my community page.
And they have been led along to believe that there was going to be a trial for 2.5 years and not given any information. There's been a gag order, and you just wait for the big day. Just wait for the big day, the big show, the big trial. And now suddenly they've been told that's not happening. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So some will say, well, so what? Things change. People change. As I said, she's 9 times out of 10 has consulted with her client to say, you're not going to win this. This don't look good. I got too many irons in the fire. I need more time. Or he could have said, let's go ahead and take the plea. I don't want to die. See, could be all Kohberger. We don't know. We can just assume. But when Annie took the other death penalty case, that looked like to me, why would you take on another big case like that when you're already having a big fish to fry with this Kohberger case? Because you don't even know how long it's going to take to even go through all the information and how long it's going to take for it to even go forward in a trial. So I did find that strange, and I get it. Lawyers do have other cases that do come along. Public defenders are given other clients to represent. I had to remember that. They do get other clients, but another death penalty case seems a bit extreme when you're already fighting a death penalty case. And I don't really know the protocol on how many death penalty cases, public defender can be given at a given time. So let's go to my community page, and I'm going to post those said questions. Okay? I'm also going to share this content as well, in case you all would like to replay it for yourself. This latest information. Once again, Mr. Kohberger has taken a plea deal. All formalities will be signed into agreement on Wednesday. Check my community page for said updates to this information, and also take the polls. I'm not going to put up the questions that I just mentioned to you all, so feel free to take the polls. Make your voice count. Number 1, are you shocked at the plea? Okay? And naturally, it's a shock to me, but the point is, they all were convening last week with the judge, and he was trying to get this pushed up. So it may not really be a shock to some who know, the legal system. Hey, she wasn't ready. She wasn't prepared. And as I said, either she told her client, I'm not ready, or he looked at her and said, okay, I'll go and take the plea. I don't want to die. You're not ready. Let's move this on. So you don't know, because who's going to tell the truth? And then we're going to ask that. Who's going to tell the truth down the road? Whose idea it was to take the plea? All right, you got 3 options. Yes, no, and not sure. Are you shocked that he took the plea deal? Take the polls, everybody. Hello, Auntie M. How are you? Next question. Was Annie Taylor tired of trying this case? Now I'll just say reason for plea. Lots of questions to ask because we don't really know everything. Definitely don't know nothing now. This latest update. Whose idea was it to take the plea? Number one, Brian Kohberger. Number two, Annie Taylor. We're going to put BK's family. Maybe they had an insight. Did that ever occur to anybody? Guess nobody thought about that. And your last option will be you're not sure. Whose idea was it to take the plea deal? Brian Kohberger, Annie Taylor. BK's family recommended it. And number four, you are not sure. Okay? So basically, me asking, did Kohberger want this, would be in the same line of who recommended it. Now, for the grand poobah. Will Kohberger give an interview and tell the truth to what happened on King Road? Yes. No. Not sure. Partial truth. Thank you all so much for joining the Vault XL. Check out my movie for the week. The Deceitful Wife, now playing free in the YouTube app. The trailer's on my community page. Were the Puffy jury about to reach a verdict today? And that's why they notified the judge about a problem with juror number 25. What is going on with juror number 25? Did they get it resolved today before court ended? They will resume deliberations tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in New York City. Will they reach a verdict before July 4th? I'm going to put that up as a poll. Are you shocked that Brian Kohberger took a plea deal? Was Annie Taylor tired of trying Kohberger case? Reason for the plea deal? Whose idea was it to take a plea deal? Will Brian Kohberger give a news interview about the Idaho 4 murders and tell the truth? Now, know that after the 4th of July up until the 6th, if the members of the jury pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs does not reach a verdict, they will have to resume deliberations after the 6th, which will be next week. So this is why I'm putting up this poll. They have up until Friday to reach a damn verdict. Do you think they will reach one? Take the poll on my community page. Your options are still the same. Yes, no, not sure. I'm a little bit over an hour into this live stream. I'm not trying to hold you all very long this evening, because Queen's got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Going to get this old knee checked out. This old right knee. See what they have to say in their recommendation, which I already know what I want done. But that's my agenda for tomorrow. Got to be up early. But I wanted to get on once I saw the updates pertaining to this juror number 25 in the Puffy trial, and also that Mr. Kohberger has decided to take a plea deal. This is both breaking news here in America. I want to make sure I brought you the live stream before tomorrow. After I end this live, I will put up a short pertaining to all the information that I relayed during this live stream. You are free to join the Queen on the panel. You don't have to sit and chat in the chat. You're welcome to come on the panel and give your opinion. You don't have to show yourself, but just be respectful to the hostess and the viewing audience. What do you think about both sets of information? Juror number 25 won't comply with instructions in the Puffy trial. What is the problem? What are they bickering about? Were they trying to reach a verdict today in court or not? Brian Kohberger, why did he take the plea deal? Change of heart? Afraid of dying? Afraid of being murdered? He's going to die in there anyway. But naturally, the death penalty will get him on the chopping block sooner, if you get my drift. Family recommended it, and he recommended it. He and Annie decided together. Don't know. Will we find out? Don't know. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking now. It's going to be a lot of talking heads. We've had a lot of wranglings in 2.5 years of information being leaked out, hearing about a DoorDash, hearing that Dylan saw a dead body. All this coming out. And the judge was not pleased, and the judge wanted somebody's head to roll because there was a gag order and nobody was supposed to be talking, but somebody's been talking and telling the business. As I said, I did not watch the content from the Dateline interview, but something in that interview the judge did not like. And also the judge in this Puffy trial feels the same way about information getting leaked out also to the media, and he wants to know who this person or persons are that was leaking information out pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs. And that is a judge's job, is to make sure that everything stays sealed within the court, and anything that gets out, he wants to know or she wants to know who put it out. And if you're in a closed room with only a few people, then the judge has a general idea of who told it. So if it's only the judge and the attorneys, that means the judge talked or the attorneys talked. If he went in a sealed room, even without a bailiff, he knows that ain't but a few of us talked. And this is why you have to be careful when you're dealing with the law, because you cannot tell people anything about a trial. And it's not to say that a person wouldn't go make up something and say, oh, yeah, she told me she's trying the case and it's weighing heavy on her, blah, blah, blah. You know, a person can make up stuff, and next thing you know, you're sitting up here in front of a board fighting for your law license because somebody went and lied on you. Because people do lie. People do lie. People do fudge things. People do make up stuff, especially if you're not telling them anything. Well, why can't you tell me I'm your sister? I'm your brother. I promise I won't say anything. You can't rely on that as a lawyer, that your husband, wife, sister, daughter, whomever, kid ain't going to go tell. Hell yeah, they'll go tell somebody. Because you know what they're going to do? They're going to say, don't tell nobody, but mama said he did this, he didn't do this. You understand? Then that person going to go tell somebody, oh, don't you tell nobody. But my friend told me his mama, she trying the case, da-da-da-da. And before you know it, it's now sitting at a news desk. It's in front of a blogger's microphone. You can't tell stuff. But we know people talk. People leak things. As they always say, Big Brother is watching. There's always an eye in the sky. There is. There is always a witness to something. It's just a matter of, is he or she going to hold the water? Thank you, Auntie. Yes, praying too. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. People just can't hold water. They got to tell somebody. And I'm wondering if Annie believes her client is guilty. Let me put that on a poll. I definitely got to put that on a poll. Take the polls, everybody. I want to hear how you feel. Does she believe he's guilty? Annie Taylor. And then I got one that's really going to shock you that I've heard nobody mention. You know, the queen always goes in the belly of the beast. I ask the questions that most YouTubers won't ask, or even the news, because everybody likes to talk around the subject. I don't talk around the subject. I get down to business. Did Brian Kohberger tell his lawyer he killed those kids? Bingo card. Woo! Shut your mouth. Lord, that's alive on its own. Nobody's ever talked about that. Or did he confess to anybody else? Interesting. Because we can ask that question now, considering him taking the plea. Did he call his family and tell them, yes, I killed those kids. I'm going to take a plea. Wow, can you imagine getting that phone call? Shut your mouth. Hey, Mom, Dad, how you doing? Oh, we're okay. How are you, son? Well, I've got something I want to tell you. What is it? I killed those kids. You did what? What did you say? I killed those kids. Why? Why would you do that? All this time we've been supporting you. You killed those kids. Why would you do that? Shut your mouth. Oh, that's going to be a whole lot of chipper after this. You can best believe it, baby. Everybody get ready to come out and start talking now. You talk about a dancing clown and a clown car with 12 clowns in it. Shut your mouth. We're going to have dancing bears, dancing clowns. Oh, it's on like Donkey Kong now, baby. Because now it's a free fall. Everybody can talk. But like I said, what will be the consequences for talking and telling your truth, your version? Because people do make up things. And will these girls ever speak and talk publicly? Dylan and Bethany. I'm going to put that on the poll too. Wow, I got a lot of questions. Take the polls. Did he confess to anybody, Brian Kohberger? I'm going to say only Annie. Family. No one. Put both. Then the last one will be no one. What's the other question I had, everybody? Oh, the girls. Once again, same options. Yes, No. Not sure. And I might put maybe later. Down the road. Let's also ask, are they glad they don't have to testify? Because they were going to be hidden, if I'm not mistaken, during the trial. Dylan and Bethany. But I thought I read something about that they weren't going to have to testify or something. Can't remember. It was something a few weeks ago. I might have to stand corrected on this information. It was something about them testifying. And how does the family feel? Lots of questions, everybody. Take the polls. Did Kohberger confess to Annie Taylor or his family that he murdered the Idaho 4? Are Dylan and Bethany glad they don't have to testify in court? I thought they said they were going to conceal their identities or conceal their face or something. Does Annie Taylor believe that Brian Kohberger is guilty? Take the poll. One person has voted. Will the jury reach a verdict by July 4th in the Puffy trial? 100% says yes. One person has voted. Thank you, whoever that is that voted. 3 people have voted on this question. Will Brian Kohberger give a news interview about Idaho 4 murders and tell the truth? Yes, 0%. No, 67%. Not sure, 0%. Partial truth, 33%. 3 people voted for partial truth. Thank you for taking that poll. I appreciate that. 1 person has voted on whose idea was it to take the plea deal. Brian Kohberger, 0. Annie Taylor, 100%. BK's family recommended, 0. Not sure, 0. So somebody says Annie Taylor, it was her idea for him to take the plea. Well, always remember that no matter if your lawyer recommends you take a plea, you don't have to take it. I think most of you know that. Just because your lawyer says, hey, take the plea, you don't have to take the plea. 2 people voted on this question. Are you shocked that Brian Kohberger took a plea deal? 50% yes, 50% no. Wow. Okay. 3 votes. Were the Puffy jury about to reach a verdict today pertaining to juror number 25 before notifying the judge about juror number 25? 67% said yes and not sure, 33%. So basically 2 of you said yes and 1 of you said not sure about reaching a verdict today when they deliberated for 2 hours. Wow. What is the deal with this jury? Sean Puffy Combs. I'm just going to say, as I had told you all with the latest developments pertaining to me and me wanting to freestyle back on my network as I did when I first came to YouTube in the summer of 2019, I mainly freestyled my content, and that's where I want to go back. I want to go back to that. I had mentioned that maybe 2 years ago that I wanted to change things up on the network. That's why I had changed the name of the network, because I was always talking about true crime and things. And really, sometimes I think I should have kept the old name, Everyday Shenanigans, because I talk about different things. And as I've told you before, I don't like talking about death, mayhem. I don't like what comes with it. I don't like the type of people that come over to the network commenting. Just gonna keep it real. I don't like the people's attitudes because a lot of people are showing me that you are similar to the creatures that we're speaking of, that I'm speaking of. And that to me is a bad mojo for me, bad omen. Because as I said, you can summon the devil by what you speak on your tongue. It's just common sense. And you can summon the devil really on anything that you speak on. Just life. But I got tired of talking about death, mayhem, missing children, you know, the craziness, as I said, that comes with it, all the he said, she said, the gossip. I'm not into that. I'm not into none of that type of hype rhetoric with commentary pertaining to, you know what I'm saying, bringing you information. And I think that's why a lot of people don't jive with me as a creator, because they want me to feed into that. Well, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. That's not me. I can tell you right now, I listen to this type of bullshit all the time from regular people. I don't want to hear it from them. So I ain't going to want to hear it as a content creator. And a lot of people get mad because I don't want to listen to what they're saying. I don't want to agree with what they're saying. Well, it's a two-way street. I have my own opinion. You have yours. I don't have to agree with you. And I'm definitely not going to agree when it don't make no sense. And I'll tell a person to their face if I'm talking to them and they're talking and what they're saying don't make sense. I will tell them when they're talking, what you're saying don't make no sense to me. And that's what people need to understand. You can't make me comprehend what you're saying. If it's illogical, it don't sound right, it's favoring, I'm going to say it, mayhem and wrongdoing, hell yeah, I'm going to call you out on it. Hey, that's you, but that ain't me. You want to ride with that? That's you. But I don't have to agree. And I've just seen over the years, talking about Summer Wells, the Sebastian Rogers, different cases with the children, I've seen the most ignorant type of behavior from human beings that's just so asinine and bizarre. It's like, why would I waste my time talking about these subject matters with people who don't even have common sense? They don't have logic. And then they want to go on and on, arguing with you on the panel, arguing with you in the comments. And I tell people that all the time. I'm not going to argue with you in the comments. And all that long-winded Dear John letters that you all write under people's videos, please stop doing that. Stop doing that shit. It's annoying. Yeah, I'm going to call some shit out today. It's annoying as fuck. Because what you don't understand is the more people gather towards a person's channel, they're trying to read the information to respond if they choose to. Because some people don't respond to their commenters. You can't sit here and think somebody wants to read no long-winded ass letter. Not just keeping it real. And I get it. Sometimes you have a lot you want to say, but you have to be respectful of other people who also comment. And while a person is sitting here reading this long Dear Jane, Dear John letter, you're taking up that person's time with all of that. It's winded and it's uncalled for. Get to the point of what you're trying to say. Another thing I don't like. I was listening to an older man who was giving his commentary on Sean Puffy Combs. He has a YouTube channel. And I like what he had to say. Now, I didn't go to his channel saying, hey, how you doing? I'm a YouTuber. I didn't say anything derogatory. I listened to his commentary, thanked him for it, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. Why do you need to go to this man's channel to tell him you listen to this Tessa person, but I'll be back over here to listen to you? You didn't have to mention another YouTuber's name. And that's something I get so pissed off about with people. Do you know how disrespectful that is to go into a YouTuber's channel and repeat who you listen to? You don't see it at the time when you type that in, but you are condescending what this person is saying. This man is an old ass man just giving his commentary. And I think he knows the law. So I respected what he had to say. Okay? I wasn't over there to argue with him. I thanked him for the information. I kept it moving. You are hypocritical when you go in and say, well, I listened to Tessa or Boo Boo the Clown and she got the 411 or woo woo woo. Oh, but I'll be back over here. For what? To repeat what Tessa or somebody else had to say? If you like this Tessa cat, great. You like listening to News Nation? Great. You like listening to court TV? Great. But don't go to another YouTuber's channel telling them who you listen to. They got the T. They got the 411. First of all, she's at the courtroom. She's in the courtroom. So, yes, she's hearing the information. This old man is probably somewhere in the middle of Ohio, minding his damn business, making a YouTube video. It's a difference. He's not there. He's just giving his opinion on the information. And I do believe he possibly knows the law. He may even be a lawyer. But don't go into his comments trying to tell him about who you listen to and they got all the information. Who gives a fuck? See, this is why I get pissed off and why people don't like me. And that's why I tell you, I don't give a fuck. Because you don't like the fact that I called you out. Just like I told a person earlier that's supposed to be a professional and they act like a damn boo-boo the clown. I let them know. Your problem is you don't like nobody telling you when you are out of character and you won't let a person say what they got to say. Because what I was trying to explain was the timing of me making a phone call to them and they just overrode what I was saying because they didn't want to hear what I had to say. And they did that to me like maybe 2 weeks ago. And I told them, that's your problem. You jump off the subject when somebody's talking to you. You don't like to hear a person tell you about, you don't stay on script about business. You always love talking about other people's personal problems when a person may be in there talking about their own personal problem. That's unprofessional. And he didn't want to hear it. So I let him know today. I called him back. I said, you know, you were rude when I was just talking to you. I was trying to tell you the time I called you was doing business hours, not after business. So you sitting here making up all this shit. He was making up stuff about his kid. Well, I couldn't answer the phone. You know, stupid stuff you shouldn't even be saying because your kid don't have nothing to do with what we're talking about. Because our business was doing business hours. But this is the point I'm trying to make. People don't like to be called out on their shit. And I get it. We all can be sensitive about ourselves. But don't discredit what the person is saying on their own content. Listen to what they have to say. You don't like it, you can comment, say I disagree, I agree, whatsoever, but don't come in floating somebody else's shit. I don't like that. And I see it all the time under people's videos. I've seen it over the years under mine. Well, you could go watch such and such channel. She knows this. She knows this. Did I ask you for that information? I didn't. I didn't ask you about anything. And that's how YouTubers end up falling out with each other because of that bullshit that you all like to do, which is pit-pat people against each other. And you don't even realize you're doing it when you make that type of comment. You're starting bullshit. Because the next thing you'll do is come back and say, well, he said this and that don't match what you said. And I don't think what you said is the truth. And that starts the issue. Then they go back and carry that bone back to the channel that they've been watching. I hate that. Because what you're doing is you inciting rhetoric for nothing on some shit you don't know nothing about. And that's really what's wrong with a lot of people who, one, bring content. I've seen that. Now, can we misquote things? Of course. Can we lie, fudge things? Of course. The point is you're supposed to stand on what you say. If you made a mistake, you have a discrepancy, you correct it. And I do that. I will correct something if I misquoted something. I've done it a few times in talking about Puffy. One day I said the other day it was 40-something people testified because I think that's what I read somewhere. But then I read again, it said like 30-something people. You can misquote things even from allegedly viable information. That's why I always tell people, don't get an attitude about what I'm repeating on my network because I always use a source. I don't make up stuff for my content. Anything I bring to you, what do I always say? Go to my community page to verify the information. That is the source of the information. If you have a problem with the information, you take it up with the source. You don't take it up with me. Because in the end, even if you hear something from ABC, News Nation, Court TV, the one thing you crazy people don't seem to realize, they got that from somebody. Ding, ding, ding. So when you get your drawers all in a knot about the information, well, who the fuck are you mad at? Yeah, I'm going off today. Somebody need to hear it. Who are you angry with? If Court TV reporter went and talked to Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba, and they told them this, this, and this, and then they took it back to the producers, they did the fact check, and then they said, okay, you can run with the story. What are you getting angry about? That's the one thing I never could understand about people who get mad at the information. Why are you angry? I mean, it's not about you. Oh, I don't believe it. That ain't true. Just like the people in the court with Puffy, clapping and jumping up and down like Jesus rose from the dead. He ain't Jesus. He ain't king. Ain't but one king, baby. You don't know that man from a can of paint. And just like somebody said the other day, I read under a video, you think his children don't know who he is? Seen a sign that Puff Daddy is raunchy, foul? Of course they have. Because he's now being accused of gang rape with his own damn son. Stay woke. You have to use common sense when it comes to people who are vile. There comes a point when you have to assume they ain't turning that off with everyone. You think his attitude ain't spilled over in raising his children? You know it has. Oh, look at him holding his baby. He's holding baby love. So what? I don't care about John Puffy Combs holding his children. I don't care about photographs he took with his kids. He's a sick motherfucker. I don't care about him being a father. I don't care if he ever had a dog. Ooh, you ain't never seen that, have you? Sean Puffy Combs with an animal. Hello. Thank you, Jesus. What did I say? The only thing missing from this story is homicide and bestiality. And somebody mentioned that too. I won't be surprised if he's murdered somebody. And he probably had sex with a dog. A billy goat. Because he's oversexed. He's hypersexed. You don't know people. So that's why I don't put these people on pedestals. I hear an allegation. I wait to hear what state the government has and go from there. Can they misspell a name? Misquote a name. Misquote a person. Add something to it. Don't show the whole interview. That happens all the time with the news. Just like when you get a clip of, let's say, a reality TV show. What do they show in the trailer? They show the most explosive commentary, and you take it and run with it before you have watched the entire segment. And that's how rumors get started. When you go in to actually watch the TV show, you realize why the person made the commentary, because you're actually watching it play by play allegedly. Now, some of the people will say that it's scripted, reality TV, but the point is, the person can refute anything. They can say, well, they cut it. They cut my conversation. They didn't play all of it. It's up to you to decide if that's the truth or not. But a lot of times, the trailers will put out the most explosive commentary from the person, and you're thinking they're replying to something because of how they're running the commentary. You know, they might show Pookie saying something, they show Ray Ray saying something, and then you're thinking Ray Ray responded to Pookie with that commentary, and the conversation didn't even go like that. Because that's when they edit the commentary for the trailer. That's to get you to tune in. So I always try to be very careful in watching trailers for TV shows, reality TV shows. Watch the content first, then form your opinion. YouTube, news, it's all the same. Everything is about a version. And for some reason, some of you cannot get that through your fucking head. The news speaks to people. They are assuming that he or she is telling him the truth, her the truth. They do not know what is the truth until otherwise verified. So that's all they have to go on. Okay? You either believe what that person told the reporter or you don't. But to get an attitude, what is the point? Because in the end, you don't know the person delivering the information in a news story. That's why I don't get myself worked up about what people are saying on the news. I'm to the point now, I don't even play all of the news broadcasts. I just play the first minute or two just to get the gist of the story. And then I stop the video and I go watch something else. Because I can honestly say, I am like damn near an ADHD child. I just cannot keep my attention span long enough on anything. I don't know what's going on, but I just don't have it in me to just keep listening to stuff. Because the one thing I've learned, as I said, being on this network, as many years I've been here, people don't listen to nothing anyway. And they don't want the truth. I see that comment made a lot under videos pertaining to true crime. People say they don't want the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. It's who sounds the best. And I'm starting to believe that. That even with evidence, as you've seen with BK, Sean Puffy Combs, other people who've gone on trial, the state, the federal government can bring you the evidence and yet people will still argue. And they got a receipt. That didn't happen. No, it didn't. And you're looking at them like, what planet are you from? So you just gonna say these people lied? They made up documents, they made up receipts, they made up evidence. And then the flip side of that is also everything that's gathered is not introduced in court, and that's a problem as well, because that is how many people get appeals from guilty verdicts, as you have seen so many times with, like Karen Reed, all these different people going to trial. You leave something out, it gets leaked that you didn't bring that information forward. Now the person has a right to an appeal because there was information that could have favored him or her, and the prosecution did not allow it. And I don't think you should do that. Let the jury decide, because that is their job to decide if they believe the information. You withholding things, that's not right. And we learned that with the Puffy trial. They withheld text messages between Jane Doe and Puffy. Okay? Jane Doe and an escort, where she's soliciting him to fly him out, saying, I need you. And that's pretty deep. And that's kind of hard to wrangle with. Oh, she's coerced. You understand what I'm saying? Because now she's talking to somebody else. Unless she was lying on behalf of Sean. And Sean wanted that guy to have sex with her that night. And he told her, hey, send a text to him. Tell him you'll fly him out. But I was assuming the way the text was read, that this was maybe a private interlude between she and the escort. See, you don't know how to perceive it, because that could be her response. Oh, I wasn't trying to get him out that night. Sean wanted him that night. And he told me to send him a private text, making it seem like I wanted him for the night. See where I'm going? And that's another thing I've always said too about texting. Sometimes when you text or you write a statement, people can misconstrue your meaning, which that happens a lot too. Under the videos, you all comment. I may not understand what you're saying. I'm going to have to reread to get an understanding of what you're saying. That's why sometimes I will ask you, what are you implying, before I respond? So that way you don't say, oh, well, you jumped the gun or you misunderstood. That's why you have to be clear in your typing what you mean, because a lot of people aren't you're just not forthright in what you're saying. And this is the reason why some people really don't need to be typing, period. To your friends, to your family, to your boss, to your coworkers, under videos, under articles. If you do not know how to explain yourself, don't respond. Because to me, that's also annoying. To read countless of comments and you got commas way at the end, like you're a foreigner trying to scam somebody. Yeah, I said that. Because that's how they write notes on the commentary on the date site. They put commas and question marks under stuff that are statements that don't make no sense. So sometimes, you got to think you're writing this stuff out and you want to get your point across, but don't nobody understand what you're saying. Then you get mad and come back and say something snide because people are making nasty remarks like, what the hell are you talking about? But you wrote that. So if you do not know how to explain yourself, you probably don't need to reply. And that is the one thing that people get mad about, is they don't know how to explain themselves. So that's why sometimes it's best to think before replying. And another thing, you don't have to reply because the box says send. Reply. Press send. Don't do it. Seriously. Just don't do it. Now, naturally, we see all type of ugly comments people make under these videos and articles, just being snide, serious situations going on, and people being hurt, harmed, and people reply, really gross things, nasty things, and just unwarranted. But this is what people do in their spare time. They go under these videos, these articles, and they just write the stupidest stuff because they're bored and they don't have no respect for the content. And you see this a lot. And I'm teaching myself, you do not have to reply to every response from something you said, or just in general to an article or a video. Sometimes I read the comments, sometimes I don't. Even if I don't like a person's comment, I don't have to reply. And that's what you have to teach yourself. And that's where self-control comes in. Because a lot of times we as people, we don't have self-control. You have got to have self-control on when to say, you know what? I'm not going to give a response. I'm not going to reply nasty. I'm not going to cuss this person out. You understand what I'm saying? You have to teach yourself that. Because you'll blow up at every little thing a person says or does. And you don't want to be that person. Trust me, I'm working on that. Not to reply to every little thing said. I see some comments under my own stuff. I don't reply. But sometimes I just feel like I don't need to reply. It's nothing personal. I just don't need to reply. But I think a lot of people get offended. Oh, she's not responding. He's not responding. I've been on the people's channels where you go down their channel, they got hundreds of comments. They haven't responded to one. Now, maybe they're busy, they're working, they're sleeping, they're walking their dog. And I'm sure some people get offended. Oh, I wrote this comment, he don't even respond. Maybe they don't have the time. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out as a reference. Some people don't reply to the comments. And they have their own reasons why they don't reply. Some people only reply when it's positive things said about them. I've seen that a lot. But I just wanted to, clear my throat on some things I've noticed. And I've talked about this over the years about YouTube. It's just a bias. All of this is bias. Social media is bias. It's all bias, It's all bias. It's racial. It's all the same. There's some stuff I've seen, because I did not want to be on this loudest song. I'm almost 2 hours in. Oh, Lord, I don't want to go here. I probably should put it in another live. But Karmelo Anthony. And then this cruise ship nonsense with this kid. I'm going to do the cruise ship. I'm going to do Karmelo, then I'm out of here. I probably should show myself for the Karmelo Anthony. I haven't been showing myself because I hate dialing up. These days I just don't like, putting on makeup and doing all that stuff. But a cruise ship was coming from the Bahamas yesterday. Fort Lauderdale. And a child goes overboard. The father jumps in. Cruise ship crew members were able to throw out life preservers, save the people. They're okay, as far as I know. Where I have a problem with this story is the obvious. How did your child get over the railing? As they said, we make provisions so children don't go overboard. People don't go overboard. How is it your child is floating in the water and nobody else's child is floating in the water? Help Queen understand. And a lot of people commented under the article. Congratulations to the father. Kudos to the father. He jumped in. He did the right thing. Most parents would. Would most parents jump in the water? Who are you speaking of? So I always tell people to be very careful what you type. Most parents would jump in the water. Well, what if you couldn't swim? Because you don't know how many people in America can swim or not. Just saying. And we're not talking about a pond or a lake. You still can drown in either. A quarry, you can drown. Many people drown in quarries. And I always tell people that too. Why are you jumping in a quarry? Do you know what's under a quarry? Rocks. Possible reason why the person does not float back up. Because they hit a rock when they jumped in. Duh. Young people love jumping off of rocks to then go hit a rock under the water. Stop doing that. We're talking about the ocean. The boat was also moving, was not docked. For somebody to come in and ask that. Scary, scary situation. But start at the beginning of the story. How is it that your child has climbed over a railing to fall into the water in the first place? Where was the father in proximity to the child going overboard? Who all did the child come with on the trip? Was there a mother and a father or just the father? I have to ask those questions. And I'm sure investigators are going to also ask the father, where were you when the child went over? Did you turn your head for a split second? How tall is the child? Was there an opening where the child could squeeze through? So you got to ask all that. Was there something propped up to the rail for the child to jump up, stand up and then crawl over? What would possess this child to crawl over a fucking rail? Were you holding the child and looking over? The child fell out your arms. I'm curious. Hey, I want to look over. I want to look over. I want to look over. No, you cannot look over. What happened for this child to go overboard? Because this is a rare case of a child survivor or a human, period, as some people said in the comments. Very fortunate that they both lived. Amen. And how scary that must have been. Child falling over, father jumping in to save the child, praying, God, let me be able to get my child and also live. But we have to start at the beginning. Why is your child going over the rail, first of all? Because many people take their children on cruise ships. I frankly don't know if I would want to take my child on a cruise ship. Just saying. School-age children, possibly not. Nothing personal. But that's the whole point. You are at sea, meaning you have to watch your child all the time. There's no moment where you're going to sit here and say, stay in the room, we're going to go gamble, we're going to go eat, we're going to go dancing, because you're now leaving your child unattended, no different than if you were on dry land. It's the same game. Anybody could hear you walking, talking through the door. They now know there's a child in there unattended. They could knock on the door, boom, 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 go in, do something to your child, or take your child out. Nobody sees nothing. Because I don't know why, when bad things happen with children, there's no eye in the sky. Put that on paper. So I'm going to say to the father, were you watching your child? Because if you were watching your child, then you are negligent, because that means you watch your child climb over a rail and jump into the ocean. Stay woke, everybody. Canal or whatever it was. And that definitely don't make no sense. That you would stand there and watch your child climb. Get down, get down, get down, get down from there. And if you several feet away, like 10, 15 feet, you ain't going to be able to get to her in time. She's already over the rail. Very bizarre story to me. Will there be charges against the parent? Should there be charges? I'm going to put that on the poll. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now. Should there be charges? So far, a few of you have voted on the polls. Hold on. Got to shorten it. Negligence. Yes. No. Not sure. All right, everybody, take the poll. Woo! Here's my next one. It's been a dicey subject, so I don't like talking about this subject. As most of you know, Karmelo Anthony has been indicted for the murder of Mr. Metcalf. A lot of people are talking about this fundraiser business. I don't know what's the truth or not. But I did see a different type of GoFundMe set up for, I'm assuming, his attorney fees, I guess. Let me go on my, I got another page. Let me see. Hold on, everybody. Once again, Mr. Antoine Massey has been captured by authorities. Feel free to check out my short on that information. And the funeral home owner out west, he's been given a 20-year sentence. His wife will be, she will go to trial later this year for having 190 bodies inside of a funeral home. Well, I thought I had it. I'm gonna have to probably pull it up separately. So I thought I might have read it today. Let me see. Newsbreak might have it. That's my go-to source for information. I don't know how reliable some of that information is, but anyway. Hold on, everybody. 2 hours into this live. I did not mean to be on here this long, but let me see. Because they denied initially. So we got different people. Let's see. We're gonna go with the U.S. Sun. It's 5 days ago. Also, some of the people, they're saying African American people are asking for their money back. Karmelo Anthony's family asked for contributions hours after he was indicted for murder by a grand jury on Tuesday. Anthony, now 18, accused of killing Austin Metcalf, 17, at a track meet in Frisco, Texas on April 2nd. The teen, who said he was acting in self-defense, faced the first-degree murder charge and has remained on house arrest since he got out of jail on a reduced bond of $250,000. During his time in jail, his family launched a fundraiser to aid his legal fees and to provide security for Anthony, who was 17 at the time of the incident and reportedly received racist threats after the murder. Now the family has increased their fundraising goal after raising over $500,000. Okay. On Tuesday, Anthony's dad shared a statement asking for more donations after updating the target amount to $1,396,725. Today, we received the official news that the Collin County District Attorney has indicted our son. Our nephew, your friend, your neighbor, Drew Anthony wrote in part on Facebook. This is a moment we hope we would never face, yet one we've been preparing for throughout these long and painful months. He continued, now as the legal process moves forward toward trial, we enter an even more intense phase, one that will demand everything from us emotionally, financially, and spiritually. The dad said that aside from legal funds, the fundraise money would cover the family's relocation after repeated threats and the public leaking of our address. He also said the money would support living expenses, transportation costs, counseling, and more security. So today we humbly ask, please consider making another contribution to the fund for Karmelo, he wrote in part. Please continue to share it with your network. Please stand with us for truth, justice, our son. Social media users were quickly to criticize the fundraiser while demanding justice for Metcalf, whose dad said he was pleased with the indictment as he looks forward to Anthony's trial. Is there any way I can take money from Karmelo Anthony's GoFundMe? One person wrote on X. That's what needs to happen to give to the family of the victims. That would at the very least fulfill some form of justice minimally. Another slam. They should confiscate the money from the family that raised $500,000 for Karmelo and give it to the family that lost their son. Okay. Now, the Anthony family would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has supported us through this unimaginable tragedy. Thank you for all your prayers, letters, donations, unwavering encouragement. Today, we received the official news that Collin County District Attorney has indicted our son, nephew, friend, your neighbor, your friend, your neighbor. This is a moment we hope would never face, blah, blah, blah. Basically, read all this. Your support has reminded us that we are not alone. Your love has helped us stand in the face of heartbreak, threats, and misinformation. Now, as the legal process moves forward toward trial, we enter an even more intense phase, one that will demand everything from us emotionally, financially, spiritually. Some may wonder what this fund is truly for, and we want to clarify with transparency and honesty. These funds are being used to cover essential and urgent needs that have arisen as a result of this tragic situation, including, but not limited to, safe relocation for our family after repeated threats and the public leaking of our address, basic living expenses as we've had to uproot our lives, transportation to and from court proceedings, trauma-informed counseling for our entire family, enhanced security measures, and critically, retaining qualified legal counsel and a thorough, fair investigative team. While legal expenses are a significant part of this fund, they are only one part. Our family, a loving, God-fearing family, is simply seeking safety, justice, peace in these trying times. Despite the lies that have endangered us and others, we continue to choose forgiveness. But forgiveness does not mean silence or surrender. We stand firm in our commitment to truth and justice, and we need our continued support to carry that forward. This is not just about our son. This is about every young person's right to a fair process and every family's right to safety, dignity, and justice. This is about ensuring the Constitution applies to all of us, not just some. We're not here to try this case on social media. We're not interested in online arguments or judgment from those who do not know the full story. Karmelo will defend himself in a court of law, not in the court of public opinion. So today we humbly ask, please consider making another contribution to the fund for Karmelo. Please continue to share it within your network. Please stand with us for truth, justice for our son. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Your prayers, your compassion, your generosity have meant more than words can express. With love, faith, and determination, the Anthony family. Please share, please share. Watch the Hate for a Child come on this message. So they've been faced with backlash about the fundraiser since they launched it in April. Speculation swirled about the family buying a new house with the donated money. The criticism prompted the family to hold a press conference about it on April 17th. And that's when Mr. Metcalf came in. So this is older content. Wow. That's winded. I hate reading all that long stuff. Well, you can weigh it different ways. We'll talk about that briefly because I really don't like talking about this subject matter. They denied that they spent money on a house, car, whatever. I don't know what they did with the money. But where there's a problem is now you're asking for more money to move again. See, that's what's the problem in the first place. You had to have known that people are going to get your address. So long as you use your legal name, you can be found. I've already talked about that during this live stream pertaining to the Idaho 4 and going live and streaming and being on IG, Facebook. You can be found. This is common sense. So even if you're not on social media, you can be found because you have a legal name. These people know your legal name. Now all they have to do is pay the little site app and try to get an address. You got to get mail. You got to go to the doctor. Naturally, these people have to work. And people are going to think now you just want to live off of free money. Is that the case? I'm going to put that up on a poll as well. This is just bad all the way around. It's bad enough. We have a young person going to be standing trial for murder. One child is dead. All over a damn tent. Shit I don't understand. Because I just can't see wilding out about a tent. That's just me. That's my personal opinion. You don't like the person under the tent, under the whatever it is. Just call the police. Call security. Call somebody. All of this just went too fucking far. But as I always tell people, one thing begets another. And that's what a lot of people don't want to accept either. You can't think you're going to put your hands on somebody and there's not going to be a fallout. Because as I said, people will still be complaining if he beat the boy up. It still will be a complaint. It still will be a complaint. He got beat up and he died. There will be a complaint. It's just the way it is. Can't satisfy folks. But the money issue, okay, you want a defense. That's what you should have thought about in the first place. There will be a possible indictment of your child. So while you're moving around, then you say, oh, well, they found us. Now we got to move again. How many times are you going to keep moving? Because that's not going to register well. Because we live in a world where many people have been involved in true crime, indirectly, directly. People are charged with murder, attempted murder, poisoning, whatever, every day. They don't move out their house because most people can't afford to move. They don't even think to put up a GoFundMe. They stay in their house. News people are out there, bloggers out there raising hell. As you remember with the Brian Laundrie case and blah, blah, blah. People gave that family hell. Did they move? They didn't. They stayed right there in their house because everybody cannot afford to move. So I have a problem with this moving and shuffling around. You're taking good, hard-earned money to go buy a house, then to now say, oh, I can't stay here. Well, where the fuck are you going to go? I'm just going to keep it real. Where are you going to go where people are not going to know you and recognize you? So you're better off just staying where you were, ask for money for a defense for the child. If the people wanted to donate that, it's their personal choice. But if you went and bought cars, boats, yachts, did all this other crazy shit, that's your dumbass. And I don't care who we're talking about. I would say the same if they were white. I'd say the same if they were Jewish. People watch. People pay attention. People repeat things. Now, you said there were different people coming in your house with different cars. They had drive-out tags. They weren't your cars. I don't know. I don't live in Texas. I'm not out there playing I Spy. All I'm saying, it don't look good now because now you're house hopping. Now you need more money. So now people are saying, well, what did you do with the money? You're now saying, well, we bought this, now we got to move. This ain't good. So you bailed them out with a $250,000. Then you went and bought another house, probably 200-something thousand. So there's your 500-something thousand. Stay where you are. You want money for security. So now what you want to do? Pay for an armed guard to follow you all around and follow your kid around? Yes, that's going to be a lot of money. Some are going to argue, well, he don't need to be going nowhere. He don't need to be doing nothing. He don't need to get himself wrapped up in no more drama because he can draw attention to himself. Naturally, he could, especially if you get in the wrong crowd of people. So white people realize who he is. Angry mob ensues. He's going to have to watch his back. This is just a hot butter mess. But I don't see moving nowhere else. Now, I'm just going to say that. You want money for a defense, a retainer fee. You have found a lawyer that's willing to represent him. Then you show the proof from the lawyer. This is their retainer fee. This is what they're paying an hour. This is what they want for payment. Now, anybody wants to donate to this Karmelo fund, whatever, that is their choice. That's on them. But they also need to know that people are going to spend money how they see fit. It's like any GoFundMe. Just like this mess with the 3 children who were murdered by their father, Mr. Travis Decker. This woman got damn near $1 million. She don't even have no children. And I disagree with that. GoFundMe for what? All she needs is money to bury the children. That's it. She don't have no more children. So what do you need $1 million+ for what? No, I'm just keeping it real. You don't have any more kids. It don't cost a lot to bury children anyway. Their caskets are small. Come on, we're going to keep it real. But you see, people like to donate. They like to help. But you should have it cut off depending on the circumstances. That woman don't need $1 million because she don't got no kids to take care of. Now, she want to hide out because she fears for her safety, perhaps, from Mr. Decker. I can see that. Wanting somewhere safe. But once again, it goes back to what I just said. So long as you're using your government name, you can be found. So if Mr. Decker is still out here alive, she's worried about her safety, she can be found. We'll leave it at that. Same thing with Karmelo and his family. You can be found. So house hopping, what is going to be the point to it? Travel expenses. So how far out of the jurisdiction you're trying to move? Because you don't even know where the trial is going to be held. It can go to court for 2 years. And then the defense says, well, we want to move the trial to another city. So now you don't even know how far you're going to have to travel. Are you all trying to move out of the state, across the state? He's on house arrest, so I can't see the judge giving you permission to move him out of the state. So you need money to travel what? Hours away? What are we saying here? I'm getting annoyed. Because my thing is, don't add fuel to the fire. The situation is already grim because so many people have all this hatred because he stabbed this white boy. But nobody wants to acknowledge the white boy put his hands on him. As I say, I keep saying this. One thing begets another. You can't give a pass to one and then say what the other person did was more wrong. You put your hands on somebody, you should know a person is going to retaliate. That's just common sense. Whether they stab you or they don't stab you. They pull out a gun. They beat you with their fist. What's the difference? People have been beaten to death by a person's fist. They're strong enough to beat you down. They can kill you with their bare hands. As I said, people would still be complaining if the boy had beat him to death. But this GoFundMe situation, I'm just not in agreement, because many people are involved with people who are involved in true crime, and they do not have the luxury to move about, because in the end, you can still be found. You go move in a new house, new city, you are still the same person. Unless you're going to go underground and hide, you can be found. And that's what these people need to understand. Your children will either be homeschooled or sent to private school or regular school. And yes, they may receive, bullying, woo. I feel for them in that situation, because it's not the other children's fault because of what Karmelo did. But the moving about, it needs to stop. It just needs to stop. Don't go buy another house. Don't go do nothing. Can these people go get a job somewhere without being scrutinized? I can't say. But that's one thing that people are going to say. You two need to go get a job. You're going to have to work somewhere. And people do still work if people hire them. And yes, it would be unfair to not hire these people because of what Karmelo did. They didn't kill the kid. And they shouldn't have to stand account for him killing that kid, because they got to be able to take care of their other children. And that's what people don't understand. They have other children. The other children have a right to privacy, to live and be a kid. These people also have a right to privacy and have a life, because they didn't murder the boy. The children didn't murder the boy. So people need to start putting these people in separate boxes and stop looping them into the crime. The problem is now the expenditure of what's being spent. And I don't know what these people have spent and bought. As I said, I'm not in Texas. I don't know. All I can say is they have to stand account if they took the money and bought God knows what with the money. And that's the whole point. You're not there. I don't know if she blew $500 on Victoria's Secret. The father bought jet skis. I don't know. But you should know, somebody will tell it, because that's the world that we live in. All I'm saying is they need to focus on the son, preserving a decent place for him to live, preserving a place for their children to live, stop them moving about, and take their money and put it towards a defense. Hire a lawyer, pay a retainer's fee, and go from there. And some may say, well, I don't care that they need traveling fees. A lot of people have to travel for court. We learned that here with the Idaho 4. These people had to travel to Boise. It's not around the corner. They had to take off from work. They were renting Airbnbs. Now they're going to have to get all that money back, because now Brian Kohberger has taken a plea deal. Don't even know if the people can get their deposits back, so you don't know. But the point is, in that case, it's over. He's taken the plea. Nobody has to travel anywhere. Nobody has to go to court. Nobody has to worry about being scrutinized on the witness stand. It's over with. This case, Karmelo, is different. He's just been indicted. And there's now scrutiny about the parents asking for more money. Once again, as I would give advice to anybody, you are an adult. You are entitled to do whatever you want with your money. If you want to give it to a bunch of chickens and a hen house, that's your business. You want to help the Karmelo family, that's your business. The point is, you need to know that once you give a person a check, money order, they are entitled to do what they want with the money. That is no different if right now your friend calls and say their light bill is due and it's $200. You hand them the $200. In the end, you don't know if it's for the light bill. This is no different. People do not have to be truthful about what they do with money. It's just the way it is. But I have a problem with the jumping around, because now that you see people are still angry, mad, threats, that is not going to go away. That is not going to stop. People are still going to harass you. If they cross that line, your threshold, your lawn, call the police. More than likely, Texas is a stand your ground state. Get your weapon, be legal. Hey, they push the door open, give them the business. Give them the business. It's within the law. But you're not going to be able to stop living because of what Karmelo has done. It's causing you problems. I get it. Do you want to be in this situation? No, of course not. But the moving around, that's not going to solve anything. So it's time for these people to get it in their head that the shuffling around it's not working. And you don't need to be spending these people's money just to keep moving from house to house, house to house, deposit, down payment, sell a house, rent a house. Just stop doing that. You want to hire security? Hey, that's your personal decision. Will some people agree with it? Probably not. Because every day people murder people. Every day people attempt to kill people. And let's be truthful. When you look at true crime in the hood, in a rich neighborhood, nobody's walking around with a security guard. Nobody is walking around with an entourage of people. They are going to and fro in their car, bus, train, to work without no bodyguard, without no security. Just saying. And I'm not trying to downplay what's going on with the Anthonys. I'm just saying, in the real world, many people don't have an entourage, or they don't have the money to pay for security. They have to walk out and take the scrutiny of people looking, taking photos, pulling out their iPhone, following them at the grocery store. It's just the way it is. And I get it. It's annoying. You want privacy. But you are where you are because of what happened to your son and this young man. You can't go back. And I hate it for them. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. Being followed around, people saying ugly things, your every move, somebody's got something to say. Nobody wants to live like that. Some people enjoy the spotlight, but I always tell people when something bad happens, that is when you don't enjoy the spotlight. You do not want people following you around, bothering you, harassing your family, being on your lawn, banging on your door. Because that's how people get hurt. And that's my fear, is that somebody will get hurt again because people want to stalk this family, send them threats. And I would say this, if it was any case, leave those people alone. Stop bothering them. Don't bother their property, their cars. Don't follow them around. Leave them alone. We already got one person murdered. And in the end, you stalking them and bothering them, it's only a matter of time. Somebody else will end up dead. So leave this black family alone. You don't like what happened? That's your opinion. It's over with. The boy is dead. He's not coming back. Karmelo has been indicted. He will go before 12 members of a jury and get a rendering if he doesn't take a plea. So it is what it is. Can't go back. But stalking the people, that's ignorant. Stalking them is not going to bring the dead kid back. And the only thing you're doing is getting into something, one, that don't concern you. Because in the end, it's really none of our business what happened to either party. It is just a news story. Whether you feel for one or you feel for the other, it's none of your business. So bothering these people, you don't have the right. Leave the people alone. Let those people live because they have children to take care of. Hello, honey. And we don't have a right to be bothering these families because these children didn't ask to be in this situation. And the family did not either. It's not like they knew their kid was going to murder this kid. So it's not right to be stalking people and bothering them. And I think a lot of us get beside ourselves because you get invested in the story. You feel like you have a right to the story. You have a right to the people. And that's another thing I'd like to mention before I check out of here. You all got to stop this. Getting invested in things that don't concern you. I've learned from dealing with true crime, talking to people in true crime stories here in my own area. You have to know your place. You have to know when to leave well enough alone. You have to know when to back off. And a lot of you just cannot understand that. That's why I said somebody will fuck around and end up dead, just like that white boy. Leave them black folks alone. Because in the end, you were not there at the track meet. You really don't know what was said. You don't know what was done. You just know somebody ended up dead. That's all you know. But you were not there. You don't know what these people have been spending. You can only assume by the information. Like I said, they have to stand account if they are not doing right with the money. But am I going to beat my head against the wall because of what the Anthonys are doing with that money? Hell no. Because that's their child. They want to go fuck off the money. He don't get a good lawyer. That's on them. And frankly, if he turns 18 anytime soon, he can get the money. Because he can say, well, it's in my name and it's about me, and I want all the money. Pay attention. Pay attention. Then he'll be at odds with his family about the damn money. That'll be a new story. Because he can speak up for himself. He's old enough to say, hey, I got to have a lawyer. Hey, I got to have this. And he could be saying to himself, okay, they ain't doing what they need to do with the money. He may have said something to his own family. Hey, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do with the money. This is my life. This ain't your life. This is mine. Even though now people are bothering you, I get it. So that's why I always say everybody has to stand account for his or her ways. It's not our job to stand account for the Metcalfs or the Anthonys. They got their own journey. Leave those people alone. Watch from the sidelines. You're entitled to your opinion, but don't bother those people because you don't have a right to be stalking them people and saying stuff. We get it. You have your own opinion, but I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. So that's why I said this family don't need to move nowhere else because now you're wasting money. And people out here, it's hard right now for people. And it's not right for people to be giving up their money for you to house hop, apartment hop, because you feel threatened. You live in a world where people are going to talk. They're going to gossip. They're going to send hate mail. This is what people do. This is just what they do. Frankly, what I would do if I were the Anthonys, I would not get any mail sent to any of my addresses. I would get a P.O. box. That way, nobody is not saying they won't find out, but just saying I just wouldn't personally put an address onto my mail. Doctors, job, use a P.O. box. All your mail go to a P.O. box. Anything looks suspicious, woo-woo. You notify the post office people. Let them know anything come suspicious looking, such as a package, whatever. Hey, douse it with water. Check it out. Call the FBI, postal inspector, whatever. Because you got people who are sick like that. They may befriend them, making them think they're a friend, and they might be one of these crazy nuts out here wanting to send a damn bomb to the people. You don't know. But this is what I'm saying. You can be found. So it won't even matter where these people go. People talk. People watch. That's how all that gossip got out about the cars with different tags and this and that. And somebody said, oh, they just moved there and they just bought a new car. But then the family said, oh, well, we hadn't even got the money yet. We hadn't even got money from the GoFundMe. When that rumor got out about the tags on the cars, they said it was their company's car. See, I don't know. I'm not there. So I'm not here to point fingers at these people. All I'm saying is the rumors don't sound good, allegedly. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do with the money, then shame on you. Because in the end, this is your son's fate. You're not the ones having to go stand before 12 members of a jury to explain yourself. That's Karmelo, not nobody else. So he needs to sit down and have an understanding with his parents about this money business, because in the end, it is about his life. That's my commentary. Long-winded live. Juror number 25, Sean Puffy Combs' trial, is not following instructions. Jury members called the judge. They had a meeting. They will resume deliberations tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in New York City. What will the jury say? Brian Kohberger has taken a plea deal. The formalities will be signed Wednesday in court. No more appeals, no more nothing. Burglary, 4 counts of murder. He has pled guilty to the said crimes against the Idaho 4. It's a wrap. And I also mentioned about a child going overboard in Florida. Crews coming back from Bahamas to Fort Lauderdale. How did the child get over the rail? Father jumped in the water, saved the child. Thank God for the crew members who helped throw the preservers, save the two. But what was the father doing for the child to get over the rail? I have a problem with that. And also this Karmelo Anthony business and the monies. Don't know what's the truth to what's being spent, not spent. Are they entitled to be asking for extra monies? You're entitled to your opinion. I'm on the fence. As I said, I'm on the fence about the moving around. That's what I'm on the fence about. The moving around. I don't think you need to be asking for money for that, because you're going to have to just sit still somewhere and deal with life. That's just it. But if you want money for his defense, that's up to the people out here if they want to donate. That's on them. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. Take the polls. I got a lot of polls. And I will be putting up another one pertaining to Karmelo Anthony and his family and the money. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Hell, I wish I had $1 million. And I ain't gonna lie to you. If I had 500,000 right now, I'd be pleased. What? What are you talking about? I wouldn't owe nobody nothing. Did you hear what I said? Oh, Queen can stretch some money. Believe me. And I can tell you right now, I would not owe a penny on nothing. There wouldn't be $1 owed under Queen's name. Oh, I mean that. I wouldn't owe a car note. I wouldn't owe a house note. I would not owe you nothing except for Uncle Sam wanting his portion at the end of the year for the house, which is called taxes. I ain't playing. So you got to know how to live within your means and accept the gifts that have been given to you. And I just pray that these people are not playing around with the money pertaining to Karmelo, because you moving around, I really have a problem with that, because you're throwing away money, and it's money that did not belong to you. Given to you, yes, but to me, you're playing duck, duck, goose, and I don't like shit like that. Because in my opinion, if this is the game you're going to play, you'll be moving every week. Put money down for a place. Don't unpack the box. If somebody sends a hateful letter, you pack back up, move somewhere else. Start the cycle over. Before you know it, you'll move 5-6 times in less than a year. Do you see where I'm going? You all are just going to have to weather the storm, because bad things happen to people every day. You all are going to have to weather the storm. Now, once again, moving money, transportation to and from court, counseling for everybody, plus security. You be the judge. Do they deserve the money? I'll put that up on a poll after this live. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, everybody. Stay hydrated. Very warm temperatures in the South and other parts of the United States. Be aware of your faculties, mind the children. You have been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.